Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki. When we talk about the Sharingan, we absolutely have to start with the original legend himself, Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki, better known as the Sage of Six Paths. Hagoromo awakened the full three-tomoe Sharingan after finding the corpse of his love interest, Haori. Yeah, three-tomoe, and he could totally keep it active without ever getting tired. His chakra was just that powerful. Then he awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan, and his dojutsu was also next level. Unlike the poor Uchiha who go blind from using theirs too much, Hagoromo could use his freely, no side effects, no downsides, and his Susanoo was literally the size of the 10 tails. It could tank tailed beast bombs like it was swatting flies. Sharingan back in the day was just on another level. And right after Hagoromo, we got his son, Indra Ōtsutsuki. This is the guy who literally redefined what it means to be the #1 bad boy in the shinobi world. Indra is the ultimate proof of the saying, like father, like son. He awakened his Sharingan to protect his little brother? Check. Leveled up to Mangekyo by killing his 2 best friends? Double check. And most importantly, became the founder of the Uchiha clan, a family that's honestly the most dramatic in all of anime history. Triple check. Indra's Sharingan can paralyze enemies with just a glance. Basically, if someone has a weak mind, they're not worthy of facing him. That's the power of a man born to rule. And his perfect Susanoo was mountain-sized. Straight up blocked the whole skyline. Plus, he had a jutsu called Hinokagutsuchi, which later evolved into both Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi. What made Indra a true legend wasn't just pure strength. He was the man who created ninjutsu, shaped the entire shinobi world, and left behind a legacy that earned deep respect from future generations. He was the embodiment of the phrase, "If you're going to be someone, be the best." As we move from the god-tier era into the Warring States period, we meet the one and only Madara Uchiha. Yep, the ultimate boogeyman of the shinobi world. Madara awakened his Sharingan when he was just a kid. But the real horror wasn't how early he got it. It was how insanely well he used it. While most Uchiha struggled to keep their Sharingan active for long, Madara basically kept his on all the time, with 0 signs of exhaustion. That's how ridiculous his chakra and durability were. Honestly, back in those days, nobody could touch him, except for Hashirama. And Madara's Sharingan was so powerful, he could instantly tell the difference between a shadow clone, a wood clone, and the real person. His genjutsu was so deadly that he could trap and control the 9 tails like it was his personal house pet. Think about that, the strongest creature in the shinobi world, reduced to a tool in this man's arsenal. We never really saw any unique abilities from his Mangekyo, but honestly, he was already super dangerous just with the standard powers. Of course, he could use Susanoo, and Madara's Susanoo was basically a walking apocalypse. It was huge, had 4 arms, and each one held a sword. His only real weakness was losing his vision. But once he upgraded to Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan by transplanting his brother Izuna's eyes, all limits were gone. He could spam EMS abilities without holding back. His perfect Susanoo was mountain-sized and strong enough to literally slice mountains in half. That level of power rivaled even the tailed beasts. And once you saw it, you didn't live to see it again. Well, unless your name was Hashirama Senju. And when Madara combined his Susanoo with Kurama, that's when the world finally understood what true despair looked like. This is exactly why Madara was called the God of War. Izuna Uchiha. Yeah, he's Madara's little brother, but don't you dare think he was just living in his brother's shadow. If we don't count anime filler, Izuna was actually one of the first 2 people in the entire world to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. From a young age, Izuna could use the Sharingan like it was second nature. And that's saying something, because the Uchiha clan was totally packed with hardcore warriors. Even so, they immediately recognized his insane talent. Izuna and Madara literally led the entire clan together during the Warring States era. His Mangekyo design had 3 straight spikes coming out from the center. This type of pattern is especially good at predicting enemy movements, which made him crazy good at taijutsu. On top of that, he was a swordmaster, ambidextrous, by the way, slicing with both hands like it was nothing. Even Tobirama, the future second Hokage, was low-key terrified of fighting him head-on because of Izuna's genjutsu skills. Sadly, he didn't get to fully show off everything he could do. As we move from the warring states into the Konoha era, we definitely have to talk about Fugaku Uchiha. We're shifting away from loud, manipulative villains to a completely different type of figure. Fugaku was the definition of silent but deadly. While others showed off their power with flashy moves, Fugaku was all about that let my actions do the talking vibe. His nickname was the Wicked Eye. That name alone made shinobi from other nations literally nervous. Fugaku's Sharingan could throw people into genjutsu with just one look. We sadly didn't get to see it in action much, but what really made him legendary was his Mangekyo Sharingan, the type that could actually control the Nine Tails. You know, he absolutely had the potential to become one of the greatest people, even compared him to Minato and the legendary Sannin. He was a total genius. Even Itachi admitted it would have been better not to fight him. And of course, he was the head of the Uchiha clan. And let's be honest, when has a clan leader ever been weak? But instead of flexing his power, Fugaku chose to quietly carry the weight of his clan and his family. He is the perfect embodiment of the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility. Until the very end, when he accepted death at the hands of his own son, Itachi. Shisui Uchiha. Shisui Uchiha was one of the most elite Anbu from the Uchiha clan in Konoha. After awakening his Sharingan, he used it almost as well as Itachi, maybe even better in some ways. But what really made Shisui special was his Mangekyo Sharingan, and more specifically, the insane power it gave him. Kotoa Matsukami. This was basically the ultimate genjutsu. It allowed Shisui to completely reprogram someone's mind without them ever realizing it. He could make people act exactly the way he wanted, and they'd think it was entirely their own idea. Creepy? Yeah, but also incredibly powerful. He didn't even need eye contact to activate it. Like, imagine getting brain hacked from across the room. It was so subtle, so clean, almost impossible to detect. Of course, something that broken had to come with a price. Kotoa Matsukami could only be used once every 10 years. Unless you had some Hashirama cells boosting you like Danzo did, then the cooldown got shorter. Unfortunately, we never got to see Shisui actually use any of his Sharingan powers in the manga. He died before the story really started, and Kotoa Matsukami was later used by the people who ended up with his eyes. Of course, in the same era as Shisui, we must also mention Itachi Uchiha. At just 8 years old, yeah, 8, when most kids are still crying because they got scolded by their parents, Itachi Uchiha awakened his Sharingan, right after watching his teammate die. The point is, Itachi isn't famous for his basic three-tomoe Sharingan. Nah, it's his Mangekyo Sharingan that truly made him legendary. His right eye held Amaterasu, the black flames that literally burn anything they touch. I mean anything, even fire gets cooked. His left eye had Tsukuyomi, a completely broken genjutsu that could turn 1 second into a lifetime of pure psychological torture. Imagine being trapped in a world where he controls time, space, and reality itself. That's Itachi at full mental warfare mode. And when he summoned his Susanoo, game over. Itachi's Susanoo came fully loaded with the Totsuka blade, a sword that could seal anything it pierced. The Yata mirror, a shield that could reflect every attack, no matter how strong. Together, they made his Susanoo basically invincible. The only real weakness was Itachi's body. He had low chakra, failing eyesight, and a serious illness that slowly drained his life. If not for that, his Susanoo would have been completely flawless. And of course, because of his eyes, Itachi was insanely good at genjutsu. Like, stand in front of one of Konoha's best genjutsu users and say, this level doesn't work on me. And now, we'll look at the strongest users of the Sharingan in the post-massacre era. Uchiha Obito. Right from the beginning, he awakened a two-tomoe Sharingan, which is already super impressive since most Uchiha awaken their dojutsu with only one. During the Third Great Ninja War, everyone thought Obito had died. But nope, Madara saved him and slowly turned him into the perfect weapon. What really broke Obito, though, was the death of Rin. That one moment completely shattered him. It unlocked his third tomoe and awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan instantly. Unlike most users who suffer pain or go blind from using the Mangekyo too much, Obito could literally spam his eyes without any problems. Well, Having a bit of first Hokage cells in him makes a big difference. Obito's main power was Kamui. And trust me, it's totally busted. Kamui lets him phase through attacks like a ghost, sending parts of his body into another dimension so nothing can touch him. It's insanely hard to counter unless you completely understand how it works. But Kamui isn't just defense. Obito could also teleport instantly anywhere he wanted, or suck his enemies into his own personal dimension and wipe them out. He was also really good at genjutsu. With just his Sharingan, he could control tailed beasts, and even kept the Three Tails Jinchuriki, the fourth Mizukage, under his control for years. And if things ever got too risky, Obito had a cheat code, Izanagi. It's a jutsu that literally rewrites reality. Most ninjas can only use it for a few seconds, but Obito, with his Hashirama boost, could stretch it out for 10 whole minutes. That means he could undo death, fix any mistake, and just keep winning. The only downside was that he couldn't use Susanoo. If he could, honestly, he might have been totally unstoppable. Kakashi Hatake. Yeah, Kakashi of the Sharingan. He got his Sharingan eye from Obito Uchiha during the Third Great Ninja War, after losing his own left eye in battle. Sounds like a cool gift, right? But it actually came with a huge problem. Because Kakashi isn't an Uchiha, he couldn't turn the Sharingan off, so it kept draining his chakra non-stop, like a vacuum cleaner that never shuts up. But even with that drawback, Kakashi became a total legend. With just one Sharingan, he turned into the famous copy ninja, copying over 1,000 jutsu. Imagine seeing a cool jutsu once and instantly being able to use it like you've trained with it for years. Then he combined his Sharingan with his own move, Chidori. Normally, Chidori is super fast but kind of reckless, like running blind with a lightning blade. But thanks to Sharingan, Kakashi could see everything clearly and aim his attacks with deadly precision. That's why, after losing his Sharingan, Kakashi stopped using Chidori. It was just way too risky without his built-in ninja GPS. But here's the real glow-up. After Rin's death, Kakashi awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, just like Obito. And with that, he unlocked Kamui. At first, his Kamui was clunky and slow, kind of like using a busted sniper rifle. But over time, he got crazy good at it. Kakashi's Kamui lets him trap his target inside a vortex and send them to another dimension, and he can do it from a distance, so you wouldn't even know you were being targeted until it's too late. Then came the wildest part. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Obito's spirit temporarily took over Kakashi's body, and suddenly Kakashi had both Mangekyo Sharingan, and on top of that, he got 6 Paths Chakra. With double Mangekyo, he could use both long-range and short-range Kamui, and way faster than before. The short-range version let him phase through attacks, turning him into a ghost. And then, the big flex, perfect Susanoo. This was a massive warrior made of chakra, fully equipped with flight, Kamui invisibility, and even Kamui shuriken, spinning weapons that teleport whatever they hit into another dimension. Picture a flying ninja robot throwing reality-warping boomerangs. Even though Kakashi only had this power for a short time, it put him right up there with the strongest Uchiha ever, Danzo Shimura. So yeah, Danzo is basically the walking version of that old saying, real power hides in the shadows. Or at least he totally believed that. Danzo wasn't born with a Sharingan, but he definitely found his own shady way to get them by implanting a whole bunch of them into his body. His right eye was Shisui's legendary Sharingan, and his arm? A straight-up Sharingan storage unit. While most people die once, and that's it, Danzo could literally rewind time 60 seconds, like he had a built-in cheat code. Got stabbed? No problem, just respawn somewhere else and launch a surprise attack. With 10 Sharingan in his arm, he could spam Izanagi over and over, giving him 10 full minutes of "you can't kill me" mode. And yeah, that's more than enough to completely flip the script in most battles. But honestly, Danzo's most dangerous move wasn't Izanagi, it was Kotoa Matsukami. This genjutsu is absolutely terrifying. Just a glance, and boom, you're doing whatever Danzo wants, thinking it was your own idea. Still, I gotta say, Danzo completely wasted the potential of those Sharingan. He used all those eyes just for Izanagi, like disposable weapons, when even a basic Sharingan has a ton of cool abilities. His obsession with quantity over quality made him, honestly, one of the dumbest Sharingan users ever. Like Sasuke said, we are the real Uchiha. If you're not born with it, maybe don't challenge an Uchiha to an eye fight. You're not gonna win that one, bro. Shin Uchiha, the fake Uchiha with a very real obsession. Shin used to be one of Orochimaru's test subjects, but dude went totally crazy over the Uchiha clan, especially Itachi. He got so obsessed that he straight up called himself an Uchiha and ditched Orochimaru, dragging along a whole squad of his own clone kids. Now, Shin had fully grown Sharingan eyes, implanted all over his body, and thanks to his weird experimental body, he could keep those Sharingan active as long as he wanted, without the usual side effects that non-Uchiha suffer from. That gave him super high awareness in battle and let him pull off insanely complex attacks. Oh, and get this, he had this creepy pet creature that also had a Sharingan. He could literally share vision with it and use ninja techniques through it. His right eye could use space-time ninjutsu, letting him teleport himself, or anything inside a certain space, to another location. And somehow, don't ask how, Shin awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan too. Even crazier, the same Mangekyo pattern showed up on every single Sharingan he had, even on his clones and that spy creature. With Mangekyo, Shin unlocked a pretty OP ability, telekinesis. By marking a target with his left hand, he could totally control weapons from a distance. He'd launch a bunch of blades at once from all directions, super hard to dodge. He even used this ability to perform surgery on himself, which is both impressive and gross. In the anime, his powers got so wild he could move massive structures and literally reshape the battlefield. But real talk, he still kind of felt like a mid-tier villain at best. Sarada Uchiha. Here she is, the future of the Uchiha clan. She's honestly a genius, totally born to prove that the Uchiha bloodline is still super strong. Sarada awakened her Sharingan when she was still a little kid. It happened because she missed her dad. While most Uchiha have to go through crazy trauma to unlock their Sharingan, Sarada just needed to feel emotional about her dad being gone all the time, and boom, eye unlocked. When she finally met Sasuke again at age 11, she got so hyped that her Sharingan reactivated with one tomoe in each eye. What's seriously amazing is how fast her Sharingan evolved. She quickly got 2 tomoe while fighting Deepa, and then hit the full 3 tomoe when Jigen attacked Konoha. Once she had all 3, her Sharingan became insanely powerful, like a super microscope. She could literally see individual viruses. Imagine being able to spot germs that doctors can't even see with machines. Then, at only 12 years old, Sarada awakened her Mangekyo Sharingan. And get this, it wasn't because someone died. It was just because she was terrified of losing Boruto after Ada messed with everyone's memories. That's a first in Uchiha history. Usually, it takes real loss to trigger Mangekyo, but Sarada unlocked it just from the fear of loss. Her Mangekyo design looks like a bursting sun, with 8 triangle shapes pointing outward. And the ability it gives her is absolutely insane. It's called Ohirum, the power to control gravity. She can create mini black hole-like spheres that suck in everything around them with crazy force. Imagine throwing a punch, and suddenly you're pulled into a floating doom ball. But it's not just for attack. Sarada can make enemies float, lift herself off the ground, redirect attacks, or even make targets explode from the inside by trapping them in a gravity zone and cranking the pressure. Ohirume is so strong that many people say her Mangekyo might actually be the most powerful eyes the Uchiha have ever seen. Sasuke Uchiha. Of course, we can't talk about the Uchiha clan without mentioning Sasuke. I saved him for last because he's literally the bridge between all generations of Uchiha. Sasuke awakened his Sharingan on the tragic night his clan was wiped out. At just 7 years old, he watched his big brother kill their entire family. That pain became his fuel to become one of the strongest ninjas ever. Even Orochimaru once said that Sasuke's Sharingan had way more potential than Itachi's, even before it fully evolved. But what really made Sasuke terrifying was his Mangekyo Sharingan. With his Mangekyo, Sasuke gained Amaterasu, a black flame that burns anything he looks at. And to make it even crazier, he got Kagutsuchi, which lets him control those flames however he wants, shaping them into spikes to stab enemies or walls of fire to block attacks. While Itachi could only summon the flames, Sasuke could literally sculpt them like an artist. And, of course, he has Susanoo. His Susanoo can fire arrows made of Amaterasu flames, or sometimes even mix in tailed beast chakra or chidori. This dude made Susanoo look like a full-on weaponized transformer. Eventually, when his vision started getting worse because of using the Mangekyo too much, Sasuke transplanted Itachi's eyes into himself, unlocking the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. This gave him all the same powers with zero downsides. Only he and Madara ever pulled that off in Uchiha history. After that, Sasuke could use the perfect Susanoo, wrap it around Kurama just like Madara did, and when he gained Six Paths powers from Hagoromo, he literally became one of the two strongest ninjas of his entire generation, Hokage Shiki Jijun and Kakuan Nitten Suishu. If Woodstyle had a calm down button for tailed beasts, this would be it. This jutsu is all about suppressing chakra, the wild hurricane-level chakra of a Jinchuriki or a tailed beast. The user forms the kanji for seat in their palm, like they're politely telling the beast, "Take a seat, buddy, you're done." Then, with direct contact, they slam the target's raging chakra into submission. Hashirama Senju, he's the poster boy for this move. No necklace, no 10 wooden pillars, no warm-up. He could casually stroll into a battlefield, slap this on a tailed beast, and boom, instant obedience. He even used it to strip control away from opponents using the Sharingan. That's not only about ceiling power, that's rewriting the rules mid-fight. Yamato, on the other hand, is more by the book. His version needs the first Hokage's necklace to hit full effect. And when he used it on Naruto in his four-tail state, you could tell the struggle was real. Hashirama made this look like pressing a light switch. Yamato looked like he was trying to unplug a live wire with oven mitts. Kakuan Nitten Suishu is why Hashirama could control the distribution of tailed beasts across nations, setting the balance of power for decades. But it's not really an attack, it's a control tool. Against someone without massive chakra reserves, it's overkill. Against a raging Biju, it's a lifeline. Yamato's version? Let's just say, it works, but you're not walking into a Madara fight with it. Kanzeon Lotus King. Now, let's switch from calm down to full-on chaos. Kanzeon Lotus King is Toby's spin on giant statue combat, a spiritual cousin to Hashirama's true several thousand hands. But here's the twist. No Sage Mode chakra. It's like ordering a smaller burger meal. Still satisfying, but not quite the towering feast Hashirama serves. The statue is massive, with countless arms branching out, each ready to smack, grab, or crush from every direction. But Toby didn't stop there. The statue's head has these small, creepy faces that can fire attacks using all 5 chakra natures. Imagine getting hit by fire, lightning, wind, water, and earth all at once, while you're still trying to figure out which arm is about to slap you. This technique is pure multi-target chaos, perfect for large-scale battles, which is exactly how Toby used it during the 4th Great Ninja War. It doesn't have the Wood Human or Wood Dragon add-ons that Hashirama's statue flexes, but it makes up for that with versatility. Here's the thing, compared to Hashirama's version, Kanzeon Lotus King is smaller, weaker, and doesn't dominate the battlefield the same way. But in the hands of Toby, who's already a master manipulator, it's devastating enough to keep entire squads of shinobi scrambling. It's like the difference between a hurricane and a supercell storm. One is bigger, but either way, you're getting wrecked. Multiple wood release clone technique. You've seen regular clones, you've seen shadow clones. But this is the "you really thought one of me was bad" technique. The multiple wood release clone technique lets the user create an army of physical clones. Not illusions, not chakra smoke, but full-body doubles grown straight from surrounding vegetation. These clones can hit, block, and even take damage like the original. Good luck figuring out which one's real when even the Sharingan can't tell the difference. In the right environment, this move is ridiculously efficient. Surrounded by lush forest, Congratulations, you can basically print clones on demand. The chakra cost stays low, so the user can keep pumping them out until the enemy drowns in numbers. Need to encircle an opponent? Easy. Planning a surprise attack? Have the clones pop out from every bush and tree trunk. Recon mission? Send a few out while you sit back with tea. They'll handle the legwork. The only catch? No trees, no fun. In barren landscapes, the jutsu loses its endless army vibe. But when the terrain is right, this move turns one skilled shinobi into an entire battalion. And if that shinobi happens to be someone like Hashirama, well, let's say entire armies have learned what overwhelmed really means. Resonance Blast. Now we're stepping into the goodbye entire battlefield category. Resonance Blast is what happens when Obito Uchiha gets 10 Tails Jinchuriki powers and decides subtlety is overrated. Picture this. A colossal tree erupts from the ground, and from it bloom 4 giant flowers. Pretty, right? Not for long. Each flower holds a fully charged tailed beast ball. And these aren't decorative. They're the kind of blasts that could wipe out armies. But Obito doesn't stop there. He seals the whole area with the 6 red yang formation, trapping his prey so they can't even run. It's like locking someone in a room and then lighting 4 explosives at once. The sheer destructive force puts it alongside the most dangerous techniques in shinobi history. 4 simultaneous tailed beast balls from one source. That's the kind of power only a 10 Tails host can casually throw around. During the 4th Great Ninja War, this attack nearly erased the allied shinobi forces in one strike. If it weren't for a coordinated save by Naruto, Minato, and a teleportation squad, we'd be talking about this move as the one that ended the war early, in Obito's favor. The limitation is obvious. No 10 Tails Jinchuriki form, no Resonance Blast. But when you do have it, there's a reason everyone's first reaction is panic. Sage Art would release, true, several thousand hands. This is the crown jewel of Hashirama Senju's arsenal, the technique that makes even the most battle-hardened shinobi stop and think, yeah, maybe not today. When Hashirama enters Sage Mode, he can summon a statue so massive it makes the full-sized Kurama look like a house cat. We're talking about a towering figure with its 2 main hands clasped in a calm, prayer-like gesture. And then thousands of other arms fanning out behind it like a giant wooden halo of doom. These arms can unleash a flurry of punches so fast and so powerful they can flatten a tailed beast in seconds. The statue is so huge and dense, it doubles as a near-impenetrable fortress, blocking attacks that would level mountains. Offense and defense merge into one. You're either getting crushed or you're failing to break through. And if that wasn't enough, Hashirama sometimes combines this with Kakwa Nitten Suishu, turning the statue into a giant chakra-suppressing machine. That's how he could subdue multiple tailed beasts at once without the Uchiha's Sharingan tricks. Against Madara, against armies, against mythical creatures, this was the move that defined him as the god of shinobi. The catch? It's not an everyday jutsu. It requires Sage Mode, meaning you need perfect chakra balance, plus reserves big enough to make most KJ cry. But when Hashirama brings it out, you're not about fighting a shinobi. You're fighting a one-man natural disaster. Sea of Trees Erosion. If the 1,000-hand statue is Hashirama's hammer, Sea of Trees Erosion is his scalpel. This technique lets him weaponize the battlefield itself by manipulating massive underground roots. They snake up from below, wrapping, crushing, or sweeping enemies off their feet before they know what hit them. And because the attack comes from under the ground, good luck predicting it. Unless you're a sensor or a teleporter, you're probably getting grabbed. Hashirama could scale this however he wanted. Need to trip a squad? A few roots will do. Want to crush an entire enemy formation? He can flood the field with a writhing mass of wood that leaves no escape route. It's a mobility killer, perfect for slowing aggressive opponents and dictating where the fight happens. Compared to Nativity of a World of Trees, this isn't quite as overwhelming in sheer scope. but for tactical dominance, it's gold. Hashirama could use it to cut off reinforcements, funnel enemies into traps, or just keep them too busy dodging roots to mount any kind of offense. It's the kind of move that turns the ground beneath your feet into the enemy. And against Hashirama, that enemy will crushes you. Nativity of a World of Trees. If Wood-style had a grand entrance move, this would be it. With this technique, Hashirama doesn't change the battlefield, he rebuilds it. The ground splits, and in a matter of seconds, a massive forest erupts from nothing. Trees shoot upward at terrifying speed, ripping apart the terrain, swallowing structures, and snaring anything unlucky enough to be standing there. On the battlefield, it traps enemy forces, blocks their lines of sight, and creates natural barriers that are nearly impossible to breach. Hashirama could turn open plains into a maze of living walls, forcing his enemies to fight on his terms. And here's the thing, the trees are alive, under his control, meaning they can twist and tighten around targets mid-fight. Outside of combat, this jutsu literally helped shape the world. Hashirama used it to lay the foundation for Konohagakure itself, blending towering trees into the village's design. Nobody else has ever replicated it at full scale. Even Yamato, with his years of wood-style practice, can only produce a fraction of what Hashirama could do in a single breath. It's destructive, it's creative, it's iconic. The kind of move that cements you in history as the master of your element. Advent of a World of Flowering Trees. If Nativity of a World of Trees is the perfect setup, this is the sinister follow-up. Madara Uchiha, in his Edo Tensei form, used this one to terrifying effect in the Fourth Great Ninja War. The forest bursts to life just like Nativity. But now, massive flowers bloom across the canopy, and they're not here for decoration. These flowers release thick clouds of paralyzing pollen that drift through the air, seeping past defenses and knocking out anyone who breathes it in. It doesn't matter if you're wearing armor, hiding behind cover, or even cloaked inside a Susanoo. The pollen can get through. Madara used this to blanket the battlefield, dropping hundreds of shinobi into unconsciousness in minutes. The only real counter, either destroy the trees and flowers before they release too much pollen or get out of the affected zone entirely. Strong-willed opponents might resist for a while, but even they're fighting against time. This jutsu is pure biological warfare, mixing Hashirama's style of battlefield control with Madara's ruthless efficiency. Once it's active, you're either holding your breath until your lungs burn, or you're out cold, wondering how you lost without a single blade touching you. Great forest technique. When you think of wood style, you might picture towering forests and giant statues. But sometimes, it's the subtle, adaptable techniques that show just how dangerous this Kekkei Genkai can be. And the Great Forest technique is a perfect example. This jutsu lets the user transform their own arms into living extensions of wood, morphing into massive tree trunks or razor-sharp spears in the blink of an eye. It's like turning your body into a weaponized forest on demand. The mechanics are straightforward but terrifying in execution. By altering the cellular structure in their arms with chakra, the user triggers rapid wooden growth that can branch, coil, or thrust outward at incredible speeds. In close combat, these wooden extensions can bind a target before they even realize they're caught. The spears can pierce through armor, walls, or even other jutsu-based defenses. And because the growth is fast and unpredictable, enemies often don't have time to react. Yamato demonstrated this technique's versatility on multiple occasions. He used it not just for battle, but also for infiltration, famously pushing wood through a crack in Orochimaru's hideout and expanding it into a full entryway for his team. It can be used to seal off exits, create instant cover, or even disrupt enemy formations. The Great Forest technique thrives on creativity. One moment it's an offensive strike, the next it's a trap, and then it's an impromptu shield. The only real limitation is the user's own chakra control. A skilled wielder can make the wood grow precisely where they want, at exactly the right speed, but lose focus and the attack might be too slow or too weak to hold its target. Still, in the hands of someone like Yamato, this move is proof that wood release is just as deadly in small-scale skirmishes as it is in massive battles. Hobi technique. Where the Great Forest technique is about versatility in attack, the Hobi technique is pure defensive mastery. Picture this: a massive wooden dome shaped like the head of a dragon surging up from the ground to shield the user. But this is a barrier, a fortress laced with sealing properties, designed to neutralize the energy of incoming attacks before they even land. Hashirama was the master of this jutsu. By combining his wood release with advanced fuinjutsu, he created a barrier that could withstand assaults powerful enough to obliterate mountains. Energy-based techniques, explosive force, even tailed beast attacks. The Hobi dome could take the hit and keep the user safe. And because the structure is formed from living, controlled wood, it's not static. The dome can split apart vertically on command, allowing Hashirama to counterattack the moment the defense holds. This balance between protection and offense makes the Hobi technique uniquely versatile. You're not forced into a purely defensive stance. You can defend, then retaliate in the same breath. Few shinobi can blend sealing, defense, and immediate counterplay so seamlessly, which is why this jutsu is another example of why Hashirama was so feared on the battlefield. The only drawback is that it demands high sealing expertise. Without that, you're just making a very sturdy wall. Wood human technique. If the Hobi technique is a fortress, the wood human technique is a walking war machine. This jutsu summons a colossal wooden entity shaped like a war god, towering over the battlefield. The sheer size of this construct is enough to terrify opponents, but its power goes far beyond intimidation. It acts as both armor and weapon for the user. The wood human can fight independently, shielding the caster within its body while striking with devastating force. Its arms can sweep away squads of shinobi or go toe-to-toe with titanic threats. One of its most iconic features is the wood dragon that often coils around it, enhancing its capabilities. The dragon can launch multi-directional attacks, constrict enemies, or even absorb chakra directly from its target, making it deadly against chakra-heavy opponents like tailed beasts. The true test of this technique's power came during its clash with Madara Uchiha's perfect Susanoo. It was one of the strongest ever seen, with destructive capabilities rivaling a Biju. And yet, the wood human held its ground, proving that Hashirama's wood release could match, and even suppress, the might of the Uchiha's ultimate defense. High chakra consumption and the need for exceptional skill make this jutsu rare even among wood release users. But in the hands of Hashirama, it became a symbol of dominance. It wasn't simply a construct, it was the embodiment of his control over nature, his mastery of ninjutsu, and his unmatched presence on the battlefield.